Exclamation, everybody, and welcome back to Cube Ramblings. It is, for me, Saturday night, December the 6th, 2014, the December edition of Cube Ramblings here. First edition of it in December, I should say. I hope everybody's week has been excellent and terrific. We're getting close to the holidays. So lots of things going on, lots of websites doing their, and news outlets doing their year-end picks. This was the best of 2014, this was the best of that, this was the best of this. Along those same lines, IndieDB, ModDB, SlideDB is having its annual Indie of the Year voting right now. So Indie of the Year, Mod of the Year, and App of the Year, because it's that's how it works out there. That's how that breakdown goes. So you should head on over there and vote for one of your favorite indies if you're into the indie gaming scene there. Just go on over and give them a little shout out on their page. I'll leave a link to the actual description of the voting and stuff on IndieDB, but obviously it'll be similar on ModDB and on SlideDB, which is the mobile device website or companion site to all those other ones. I've been doing some stuff here. I actually just finished up recording the end of the last Templar, so that the ending of that will be coming up very shortly. This week we had the release of Game of Thrones, the Telltale Iron from Ice episode 1 game from Telltale Games. It was the first Telltale game that I have played through. It's not the first one I bought, but it's the first one I have played through. And sat down in one session, recorded the whole thing. It took me about 2 hours, I'd say. It was quite good. It was a very, very good, very fantastic game. I encourage you to take a look at it on my channel or others. I got 4 episodes out of it. I made some pretty terrible choices. I think I should have been towards the end there a little bit more aggressive than I actually was, but tis the Game of Thrones right there, right? It's every decision is crappy. It's just trying to pick the one that is the least crappiest of them, which is what it generally comes down to. But it was a fantastically put together game. As someone who's seen most of the series, I missed pretty much all of season 4 altogether. I have to go back and catch back up with that, and I missed a good portion of season 3 as well. But seeing as much of the series as I have, and I've seen the major things like the Red Wedding and stuff like that. I've seen those, so I'm somewhat well versed at least with some of the major goings-ons. To someone who is not trying to play the Telltale Game of Thrones, they're probably going to be very, very lost, and they're probably not going to quite understand what the heck's going on or any of that nature. And even for me, the biggest problem I always have with just in Game of Thrones in general is trying to keep track of all the names. So I start forgetting who does what. They start referring to people by name. I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember who that was. Refresh my memory on that one. But it was, having played the game, having played the story, it does feel like it's plucked right out of the HBO series. Probably not something that was plucked out of the books, because I know the series, television usually in general takes lots of liberties when it comes to written works, because you have to do a lot of fleshing around, a lot of rejiggering to get novels, generally speaking, to work for different audiences, be it movie audiences or television audiences. So, if you're a big fan of the television series and you understand some of the lore around it, this feels like this game felt like just another episode in it. It just so happens it was, an episode where you were making the decisions rather than the television show's writers. That said, I also have purchased Tales from the Borderlands, which I intend to sit down and record at some point. I don't know when. I would like to get it up for next week. I am going to do the same thing with that one as I did with Game of Thrones, where I'm going to sit down. I'm probably going to record the whole thing in one session, and I'm probably just going to release it one day after the other. I'm not going to generally have any kind of pause in there, unless I find that it's long enough that I couldn't do it in one session, which I don't think that's the case. I think that's only about, Game of Thrones was only about 2 hours. I think the first episode of Tales from the Borderlands is probably only about 2 hours as well, maybe 3. So I can just sit down, just grind through that real fast, and I think I can I'm just going to publish that, one day after the other as soon as I'm ready, and just get it done, one and done. It'll be nice and good, and then I'll keep up with those as the new episodes come out of those. I'll do the same thing probably, because I think that makes the most sense as far as there's no reason for me to stretch that series out longer than it really should be. I feel personally, I feel like it's simple enough that I can just split it up into pieces and just let it stand on its own and get in and get out with it, rather than having yet another long in the tooth series to deal with, which I already have a ton of those that are into their 30 or 40 episodes now. It's funny to see. I have a text file that I save for each of the series that actually has all the description in it, so I just have to copy paste for the most part and then just change a few numbers around. And it's funny. It's always funny to jump in there and see original recording date was August 26th, for Deus Ex and whatnot. I'm like, oh yeah, I've been doing this since August. That's right. It just keeps on going on. I knew that going in, and that's the thing that that's how I play games, right? I just play it for a couple hours, and then I play something else for a couple hours, and play something else for a couple hours, and my channel is really a reflection on how I generally play games. I don't sit down and bang out 100-hour game in 5 days or something like that. I generally like to sit there and enjoy it like a fine wine, if you will. Plus, I get really bored of things after a while if it's the same thing over and over again. So I tend to switch it up just from one game to the next, just because it keeps me from getting really burned out or bored on a particular thing. Usually, it really depends on what's going on. So yeah, I probably do the same thing with that, and so yeah, we'll have First Templar will be ending in a few weeks. I still have a couple more episodes to go through, I think, plus the one that I record today, which will be probably just one episode, the finale. It's going to be a longer one, probably about an hour, but I figure it's about time. It's about time to say, okay, you know what? This is the finale. Let's roll with it. So we have that going, and also as far as and I'll talk about this a little bit more in my my channel update, but I'm also thinking that I'm going to be a little bit looser when it comes to what types of games go on what schedule. You'll remember, probably if you've been with the channel long enough, remember that a while back when I started to, actually do AAA games, originally my channel was just going to be all indie games. And I got some feedback that people wanted to see a few, AAA games as well. So I figured, it made sense to me to do it, because even though the AAAs generally don't appreciate it as much as the indies do, it's still gaming, and it's still appreciating gaming, and it's still a nice change. of pace. So that's why I started doing that. But I also wanted to make sure when I first started doing that, I set up a schedule where I said, okay, I'm only going to do AAA games on Mondays and Saturdays, or Saturdays and Mondays, whichever way you want to say that. And then I would do indie games the other days of the week, mostly Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then I'd have other indie games or other slots around for other things. Wednesday was always going to be some kind of Minecraft or sandbox game of that description, and then Fridays has been mostly just Soul Zero up to now. So I might be a little bit more. I'll probably keep the days the same. Like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday, that kind of thing. But I'm going to be a little bit less stringent about what slot certain games go into. So I might have a AAA game that I do on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I might have just an indie game that I do on Saturdays and Mondays. I'm only doing that because I feel like the distinction that I made isn't really that necessary anymore, because I feel like I am naturally gravitating more towards indies anyway, towards indie titles and indie games. So I don't think I'm going to have the problem where I just my channel goes all AAA at one point in time. I don't think that's going to happen. I think I'm pretty good at managing that and keeping it to its place along with indie games. So that's just a little. I'll talk a little bit more about that. I don't think there's going to be. It's not going to be anything earth-shattering. It's more of a mindset for me, and my idea here is to just re-engage the indie stuff that I wanted to do, and just keep that ball rolling. And a lot of this has come up from just talking about and thinking about Soul Zero, which I was going to save this for the next Soul Zero episode, but I figure I might as well do it now because it's fresh on my mind. Just saw that Soul Zero got greenlit, which is awesome. Very cool. Can't wait to see that on Steam. It only took, I believe, the dev said it only took 23 days, which is a rather fantastic turnaround. I'm very happy to see that. And it sort of got me thinking, there's a lot of other indies out there that really don't get coverage early on. There's been a big, huge backlash from the community about early access games and alpha games and Kickstarters and whatnot. And to be fair, there's good points there. I mean, Kickstarter is not, and I don't think I've ever purported to say this, but Kickstarter is not really for everyone. Early access is not for everyone. You really have to look at it as, how would I look at it? I was going to say you really have to look at it as an investment, but it's worse than an investment. Because if you think of an investment, you think, oh well, if I'm a big, huge investor in this company, then I should be able to have creative control over what's going on or have some kind of feedback or whatnot. And that's not necessarily the case with Kickstarter. It's a lot of devs do allow for that feedback and do encourage that feedback, but it's not really the same thing as it would be in a corporate world where, if you were a big, huge investor and you put a lot of money into it, you would be on a board of directors and doing, directing the flow of things and what should and should not happen. And I think the big problem and the reason why there's been a lot of backlash is, well, there's been a lot of failures, a lot of Kickstarters that never materialized, a lot of early access games that came out of early access that were not ready or did not make due on their promises that were made, and a lot of devs are making lofty promises that they probably shouldn't be doing, but they're doing it because you know, it seems to be what the community is looking for. And to be honest, you know, the community is looking for a game that is everything that they ever possibly wanted. And then there's another segment of it looking at, you know, just more practical applications of the game. And, you know, there's a lot of competing likes and dislikes. You see this with the Starbound community. You see with quite a few where, you know, it's just, there's a very deep lack of understanding a lot of times from a squeaky minority. Let's put it that way. I'm sure the majority of people who have purchased into Starbound are actually pretty satisfied with what's going on so far. But there's been a squeaky minority. I keep saying majority, but it's a minority. It looks like a majority, but it's really not. That, you know, find whatever vitriol they can and work it up because they perceive things as not progressing forward. They perceive things as they put money down for something that's not finished, and they don't, you know, they expect some finished thing to materialize within, you know, 2 months of them plucking money down. And the reality of the situation is things don't operate that quickly. And I'll be completely honest, the only people that actually truly seem to understand that and are people who have some sort of development background or some sort of development management background that understand that things just take time. It just does. I mean, these things do not materialize on their own, despite what it may seem like. That said, I just saw an article. I'm not going to bother linking to it because it doesn't say much, but I saw an article about a week or so ago that said that Star Citizen now is up to like 66 million in crowdfunding, and I still do not know what people are buying yet. I really do not. I mean, it seems like they're buying DLC or buying. It's not even DLC. It's like they're buying ships and stuff before the game's even in a state where it's playable. Really, I mean, we do have a module that is playable, and there's a FPS module that's coming out soonish, I guess. But I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I feel kind of very far out of the loop, right? It's like I put my initial however much money down a year ago, or a little bit over a year ago actually at this point, and I haven't put any other money down since. And I feel like from everything I'm seeing, it feels like I'm going to be that guy that's got the, you know, the tissue paper, duct tape, and, you know, cardboard and you know, ship that's just barely flying together with, you know, tin cans hanging off the end for, you know, communications and whatnot. I just I don't know what's going on there. I can't understand it. I really can't. All I know is that I can't see that being the thing that everybody thinks it's going to be. and I try to be very optimistic. But even, I mean, the amount of stuff they've thrown at the wall, I just cannot fathom, honestly. So, but you know, hopefully everything goes well there. As usual, I'm off, you know, rambling, as I tend to do. That is the name of the series, after all. This is why I created this series, is because sometimes I just need to sit down and ramble about stuff. We have, let's see, so a bunch of events have taken place this weekend. I'll start out with the, what was it? The Video Game Awards, or the Game Awards, or whatever they're actually calling it nowadays. I think it's called, the Game Awards 2014. That was being live streamed on Friday night while I was doing my live stream, and Twitch was generally terrible. Just genuinely terrible. Like, if you are a non-partnered Twitch person and there's a huge event going on, which there seems to be a huge event going on anymore all the time on Twitch, you're pretty much screwed as far as getting any kind of good streaming service there. But I watched a little bit of it, and I can't imagine how people were able to watch that entire thing. I was watching it. I watched, I think, at least 15, 20 minutes, and it was such a train wreck what I was seeing. I was just like, I can't deal with this. I can't sit here and watch this anymore. Not to mention the fact that I made the mistake of having the chat on so I could see, like, you know, oh my God, there was a fat guy in a chair, and it's like 9,000 comments about a fat guy in a chair. I don't, the internet full of trolls. But, yeah, I to the people who were able to watch that whole thing, I applaud you heartily. You have a much stronger constitution than I do, as far as that is concerned. my saving throws did not come through very well. But I do have the list of the winners here, and also the nominees, so we can at least go over that. So the nominees for Game of the Year were Bayonetta 2, Dark Souls 2, Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft, and Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. The winner was Dragon Age Inquisition, which I've seen a few YouTube videos out there for Dragon Age Inquisition. It certainly looks like a very beautiful game. It looks like it's got a lot of fun mechanics in it. It's enough that I'm actually considering purchasing it myself. But I don't know. It feels there's a lot of comments flying around on the internet that it's barely out. You know, Dragon Age Inquisition, and the fact that it was already nominated Game of the Year when people have barely had a chance to even dig into it, seems a little bit suspect. It seems a little bit ingenuine. I guess, and I would think that an awards ceremony like this would have some sort of cutoff date. You know, like, hey, yes, granted, you know, it's taking place in 2014. There's going to be time after the awards take place where things are released that aren't applicable to the awards, but them's the breaks, right? And it feels like, I don't know if Dragon Age Inquisition made it in under their deadline, or if there even was a deadline in the first place. It just feels kind of strange and odd that was the winner of it. And honestly, if it were up to me, I think Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor probably was the one that should have possibly gotten it. And I feel like, and I'm not saying Dragon Age Inquisition isn't fantastic and shouldn't deserve an award. I feel like it needs to compete against the 2015 titles and possibly get an award in 2015, even though it's released in 2014. But that's you know, it's neither here nor there. I'm not I have no control over that, much like the internet. Most anticipated game. The nominees were Batman: Arkham Knight, Bloodborne, Evolve, and Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, and the winner was The Witcher 3: Wild Hunt, which, you know what, I'm anticipating that game, and I've never played a Witcher game yet. I have the other two Witcher games, and I still haven't played any of them. I hear they're fantastic, which is why I have them. So The Witcher 3 seems like it would be even more fantastic, even along those lines. So yeah, I would say, yeah, I could see that being the winner of most anticipated game. Developer of the Year. The nominees were Blizzard, Monolith, Telltale Games, Ubisoft Montreal, and the winner was Nintendo. I'm not sure about that. Nintendo is fantastic and all. They're certainly, if I had a list, they would certainly be the most improved as far as relations with the internet go, like with YouTubers and stuff. I would say they're probably most improved in those categories. Would they be developer of the year? I'm not so sure. And Monolith, I mean, Telltale. So here's my thing, right? If Dragon Age Inquisition was available for nomination, then Telltale certainly should have been, Game of Thrones and Tales from the Borderlands probably should have. I mean, yeah, I guess they were too latecomers into the game, and that they, as far as the nominations go, so that would leave them with The Wolf Among Us and The Walking Dead. The Wolf Among Us seems like it's a really good series. It's not really my kind of series, although comic book or fairy tale characters are certainly something that is very cool to see. It's just not really my cup of tea necessarily. So yeah, I guess out of all those, I guess Nintendo, sure, yeah. I mean, arguments could be made for Blizzard with Hearthstone and whatnot. They've been doing some fantastic work, I think. I'm not quite sure. Well, I know for a fact I wouldn't give Ubisoft Montreal anything. Well, you know what? Well, let me think. Nah, not this year. Not 2014, I wouldn't. 2013, I certainly would have, because that's when Deus Ex and everything came out. But 2014, Ubisoft has been having lots of problems with actually having games that, work. By the way, I have access to the crew now, and I played about 2 minutes of it just to make sure my recording works. But I haven't done anything else with that yet. And already I can see like the graphical difference between that and Forza Horizon 2 is pretty astonishing. It's like the crew looks like it's got a coat of mud over the entire thing, and whereas Forza Horizon was like just stunningly beautiful. But I digress. So yeah, developer of the year, best performance. The nominees were, I don't even know what they mean by best performance. I guess for the voice actors. Okay, I guess it's the voice actors. Best performance, Troy Baker as Talion in Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. Melissa Hutchinson as Clementine in The Walking Dead Season 2. Kevin Spacey as Jonathan Irons in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Adam Harrington as Bigby Wolf in The Wolf Among Us. And the winner was Trey Parker as various voices in South Park: The Stick of Truth. Okay. Sure. I guess Trey Parker can get another award for stuff. Yeah, all right. It's not that he's not deserving of it. It's just I feel like he's an actor in his own right. Well, okay. No, because Kevin Spacey's on there as well. So all right, yeah, okay. You've twisted my arm. Sure, all right. Best performance was Trey Parker. Best shooter. The nominees were Wolfenstein: The New Order, Titanfall, Destiny, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. They have it spelled as Warfare in here. That's rather awesome. And the winner was Far Cry 4 for Best Shooter, which, having seen some of the videos that I've seen, yeah, okay. It does squeak out against Wolfenstein: The New Order. Wolfenstein: The New Order was a fantastic story. Maybe not the best shooter out there, but it was a fantastic story, and it had definitely good shooting mechanics. Destiny, I wouldn't even really call it a shooter that much, even though that is the primary thing that you do in there. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, I have no idea. I'm surprised that that wasn't the one that won, but then again, Far Cry 4 is very hard to argue with as well. So, Best Action Adventure. The nominees were Sunset Overdrive, Bayonetta 2, Assassin's Creed Unity, Alien Isolation, and the winner was Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. I think that is very good. I think that's a good choice there. Assassin's Creed Unity, given all the problems with that, I don't know that I would have even had that as a nomination, but there you go. Sunset Overdrive, I haven't played. I actually really haven't played any of them yet. I still have to sit down and play Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, so that's a thing. Best role-playing game. So we have the nominees of South Park: The Stick of Truth, Divinity: Original Sin, Dark Souls 2, Bravely Default, which I have never freaking heard of in my life. I'm going to have to make a note of that because I have no idea what Bravely Default is. None whatsoever. This is the first time I've ever heard of it. So maybe I need to write that down since I'm a big RPG guy and find out what exactly that is. And the winner was Dragon Age Inquisition, again, for Best Role-Playing Game. I feel like that might be correct, since we're begrudgingly allowing Dragon Age Inquisition even to be nominated in 2014, even though it's very late in the year. I would say yes as far as Best Role-Playing Game. Divinity: Original Sin has its own sets of problems that I've talked about on streams and in videos. Dark Souls 2 I have not played and never will play because it's too hardcore for me. I can't deal with it. South Park: The Stick of Truth, I don't think that was, from what I've seen, it was good for South Park people, not necessarily good for hardcore RPG people. Best Fighting Game. The nominees were Ultimate Street Fighter 4, Super Smash Bros. 3DS, Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, Killer Instinct Season 2, and the winner was Super Smash Bros. Wii U. I can't say anything about any of these. I really can't. It has been ages and ages since I've played a fighting game. We're talking back to the days of Pit Fighter and that's Pit Fighter was about that, and Mike Tyson's Punch Out, which I wouldn't even really call. I guess it is a fighting game. Yeah, it's not a brawler. So yeah, so I am the old man as far as those are concerned. So I wouldn't know anything about any of those. Best Family Game. Tamagotchi Life is the nominee. Skylanders Trap Team, Fantasia Music Evolved, Disney Infinity 2.0. The winner was Mario Kart 8, which I think makes sense to me. Mario Kart has always, I think, had a life of its own. It's always had its own gravity. Everything sort of gravitates around it, and rightfully so. It is. It's one of those few games that even me as an adult, I could sit down and just pour hours and hours into if I wanted to, and not feel like a kid in an adult's body. You just feel like it's meant for everybody. So yeah, I can see that. Best sports/racing game. Nominees were Trials Fusion, NBA 2K15. Oh, okay, sports or racing game. Like, that's not a racing game. Yeah, sports or racing game. Apparently, they combined both sports and racing games. Whatever. Trials Fusion, NBA 2K15, Forza Horizon 2, or FIFA 15 were the nominees. The winner was Mario Kart 8 again. Sure. Okay. Yeah, I guess. I would say I've been watching BOO's playthrough of NBA 2K15, like the Be a Player season, and I gotta say, I don't like NBA, but I would play that game if I were so inclined to do so, because actually looks like it's got a lot of stuff to it. Like they put a lot of effort into that, be a player thing. It looks like. So I don't know that I would. I mean, Mario Kart 8 already won in one category. I don't know if I agree with the whole let's sweep many different categories here. But whatever. Best online experience. Oh, this is gonna kick off something in my brain here. The nominees were Titanfall, Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft, Dark Souls 2, which whatever, okay, Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and the winner was Destiny, which I have to call bullshit on. I really do. Given as though I can't even stay connected for more than 10 minutes at a time. But then again, apparently I'm in the minority in that regard. Dark Souls 2 online experience, I guess, I mean, they have drop-in, drop-out multiplayer, so I guess there's an online experience there. Honestly, I would think that it would either be a Call of Duty game, right? Because that's basically what they're built for. Titanfall, I heard, was not really that great, so I can see that not being the winner. Or possibly Hearthstone, because there's just a crap ton of people on there with matchmaking and all that stuff. So, I don't know. Destiny got best online experience, so it is what it is. Best mobile or handheld. Nominees were Threes, which I've never heard of before. Super Smash Bros. For 3DS, Monument Valley. There's Bravely Default again, so maybe it's just a mobile game. That's why I've never heard of it before. And the winner was Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. So very good. I think that's probably a fair thing. Given all those other things, probably a fair assessment. Best remaster. Ooh, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, The Last of Us, Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, Halo the Master Chief Collection, and the winner was Grand Theft Auto 5, which, okay, fine. Best Narrative, Wolfenstein The New Order, The Wolf Among Us, The Walking Dead Season 2, South Park The Stick of Truth, and the winner was Valiant Hearts The Great War. I think this is probably the only time Valiant Hearts is on here, actually, this list. So, yeah, okay. I saw playthroughs of Valiant Hearts The Great War, and I can see where they're coming from as far as the narrative concerns, because it was trying to be sort of a teaching tool as well. Although, I'll be honest with you, I feel like there should have been, well, I guess they don't have enough to say best factual narrative versus best, I guess it doesn't really matter. Best narrative, there you go. Best score or soundtrack. The nominees were Transistor, Sunset Overdrive, Child of Light, and Alien Isolation. The winner was Destiny, which I will say this, the music for Destiny is fantastic. The music for Transistor is also rather fantastic, but not much to write home about as far as rememberability goes. And Alien Isolation, I don't know that there was much in there. It's mostly sound effects, I guess. Best Independent Game. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, Transistor, Monument Valley, Broken Age Part 1, and the winner was Shovel Knight, which, okay, that is a reasonable winner. In fact, I have a little article here that I'll link you guys to that says that Shovel Knight actually has surpassed 300,000 copies sold, which is fantastic for them. It's an indie game. They were scraping the bottom of the barrel as far as the funds were going. They had to, I remember reading a lot about how they were, trying to do whatever they could. They gave up a lot of their, paychecks and stuff to try to make that happen. So the fact that they've sold 300,000 copies and they've won Best Independent Game, I think is completely fair and completely correct in that assessment. So there we go with that. Games for Change. Games for Change. Okay. So is this like political games, I guess? I suppose. A lot of them seem like they are, although... Oh, well. The nominations were This War of Mine, which I can see is more of a political thing. The Last of Us Left Behind, which I guess for the female lead, I suppose. Never Alone, which is more a lot like Valiant Hearts with it, the history plus, fantasy put together as a teaching tool. Mountain, which whatever. And the winner was Valiant Hearts: The Great War. So much deserved. I don't know why Mountain is on there. I don't know what is the change that's doing. Like, hey, here's a game that's just a mountain. Doesn't really do anything. You play it for 5 minutes and then you're done with it. I don't know. Whatever. And then they start straying into categories that are interesting here. So, Esports Player of the Year, which sounds like something that shouldn't be in a awards. It should be in a esports award ceremony, not a video game award ceremony. But I guess there's enough carryover that it could be. The nominations were Christopher Get Right Elsund or Lucend, or I'm going to butcher these names, so I'm very sorry to everybody. For Counter-Strike Go, James Firebat Kasisites for Hearthstone, Zhu Fai Linzen for Dota 2, Martin Reckles Larson for League of Legends, and the winner was Matt Nadeshot Hag for Hog, whatever, for Call of Duty. So, yay. I don't follow esports at all, so I can't really comment on these. Esports Team of the Year. The nominations were Newbie for Dota 2, Edward Gaming for League of Legends. Is that a Twilight reference? Evil Geniuses for Dota 2, Samsung White for League of Legends, and the winner was Ninjas in Pajamas, Counter-Strike Go. Some of these names are rather fantastic. I like it. And then, for something completely different, Trending Gamer. What is Trending Gamer mean? Trending high? Trending low? Are they just trendy? Do they dress snappy? I have no idea what that means. But anyway, the nominations: Stampy Longhead, PewDiePie, because he can't go anywhere without being nominated for something, Jeff Gerstmann, okay, Evan Vanas Fong, and the winner was Total Biscuit. Cool, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what they're going for there. I think they're trying to be inclusive of all, like, hey, we're trying to acknowledge that YouTube is a thing and streaming is a thing, and the media, or the media, the game media is a thing, I guess. But I think they should have come up with a better category than Trending Gamer. Sounds like you're like one step into the grave or something here. Yes, he's trending towards death. Best Fan Creation. Nominations: Minecraft Titan City by Colonial Puppet, Mine the Diamond, Minecraft Song by Tobiscus. Oh man, this guy gets around, doesn't he? Luigi Death Stare by CZB's Wall and Ripsacore, which I've seen. Luigi Death Stare was pretty cool, actually. I haven't seen Titan City, though, for Minecraft. I don't know what that is. Best Zelda Rap Ever by Ego Raptor. And the winner was Twitch Plays Pokemon by Anonymous. So there you go. That one, I guess, was pretty much an open and shut case of, hey, more people know Twitch Plays Pokemon than they do best Zelda rap ever. The SEO on that best Zelda rap ever is not gonna pan out too well. But that is the roundup of all the things regarding the Game Awards 2014. Although that's the winners out of the way. What we haven't touched upon is some of the games and whatnot that were announced during the award ceremony. Or the announcements and game videos and everything else. And I haven't gone through here and actually noted the ones that came from one or the other, because along the same lines, this weekend is the PlayStation Experience, which is a PlayStation, what would you call it, convention thing where a lot of developers come to and show off their stuff that they're going to have on the PlayStation console, either exclusives or otherwise. So some of these videos and stuff that I'm going to link you to are, some of them were announced during the Game Awards and some of them were announced during the PlayStation Experience. It's all pretty much, as far as I'm concerned, all mixed up into one because it's all happening pretty much at the same time. A lot of the people that were at the one ended up in the other. And I'll start off with, let me see if I can get my stuff squared away here. Start off with probably the biggest one of them that released a video at both events. No Man's Sky. This game I've been following for quite some time. Just waiting patiently for it. It's right up my alley. It's a sci-fi game. It's fighter pilots. It's landing on planets. It's doing exploration. Various other things of that nature. It sounds like they announced what the goals of it were, which is literally you start out the game out on the fringes of the galaxy, and your goal is to get to the center of the galaxy. And they say it'll take something like 100 hours of gameplay or so to make it to the center of the galaxy. So it sounds like they're focused pretty tightly on exploration, and I haven't really seen anything in the way of fighting, so I'm thinking it's all pretty much exploration there. Well, maybe I did see a little bit with some fighting with some indigenous animals, but it's, to me, it's all procedurally generated, and in my brain, that tells me if they do it right, it'll be a game that I want to explore. It'll be something that I want to go around and do. That's one of the reasons why I keep playing Cube World, right? Is because the exploration, you're always finding something new and something a little bit different. It's the procedural generation is, granted, there's still grass, there's still trees, the biomes have certain features in them, but the fact that you can stumble upon a castle along the way, or you can stumble upon some nice vista along the way that's just interesting and cool to see, that's what keeps me playing. That's the thing that I miss from old Minecraft, the old world gen. There are things from old Minecraft I don't miss, like the additional grindiness and the fact that there were no beds, and you could travel out as long as you wanted to, but then once you died, you were back to your spawn point, the world spawn point. Which is why I played for the longest time. I played Minecraft on peaceful when it was first in alpha, because I wanted to explore, and I didn't want to end up back at the world spawn. But yeah, I mean, if all that stays true, and it's primarily about exploration and then a little bit of combat thrown in there, I think I could probably get a lot of exercise out of that game. I think it'll be probably rather fantastic for me. So, and I'll link you guys to an article that has the video. They released about just over 4-minute video of some gameplay, and it's the transitions from from getting onto your ship, getting off your ship, going to planet, coming out of the planet, so on and so forth. Looks rather fantastic. So there is that. In addition to that, we had let's see, what else? Blah 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 blah. What else came out of it? There was another game that was announced called Adrift, and that's ADR1FT. It's in elite speak, sort of. Yeah, Adrift. It's by, I'll link you to the article that gives you, I'll link you to the Polygon article mostly because it gives you a lot of background on the developer. Although it doesn't really give you a whole lot of background on the game itself. It's actually the most, from what I could see, the most fleshed out article on the game because there seem to be very few actual details. But Adrift puts you in the role of a astronaut who has who's out on a station. They got amnesia, as you tend to do, and the station is in dire straits. It's broken in half. There's all kinds. It's in a state of disrepair. Your suit is damaged. You're leaking oxygen out. You need to go around finding oxygen canisters. And the idea is, and they said it's going to be something like a 3-hour game or something like that. The idea is that you go through and there's not going to be any combat or anything like that. There's going to be, you have to go through the station, get it back up, get your suit back repaired, get some oxygen back on the station, get the station's escape pod ready to go, and then get back to Earth from it. Basically, the entire plot of Gravity, of the movie Gravity, as a video game. So that sounds interesting. It doesn't sound like something that I would get too much enjoyment out of. If it's truly only 3 hours, then I guess it's something you could sort of sit through. But I prefer a little bit more meat on the bones, I guess. But maybe there's, I know there's plenty of people out there that love sort of the art house style games that you can sit down and just explore, walking simulators, that kind of thing. So, it might be up the alley of some people to keep an eye on that. The Polygon article, just a note, they go into excruciating detail about the developers and they sort of really gush over like the thought process that went into the game and everything else. So I would recommend you get a few barf bags before you start reading that, because it will make you'll have to do a bit of speed reading to get past some of it, I think, and try to get any nugget of information you can about the actual game out of it, beyond the large heads that are in your way. What else here? So I think that was about all the ones that I took out of the Game Awards there, as far as things that were announced, I believe. Yeah. The only other thing that was announced that I have pulled out here, well, not announced, but a new trailer was put out for it, and this was during the PlayStation Experience. The Order 1886. It's a first-person shooter with some elements of, I guess, what would you call them? Like fantastical monsters and stuff. Werewolves and things of that nature. Sort of a what was the name of that movie? With the guy that Hugh Jackman or whatever his name was, where he was like a vampire hunter or something like that. I can't remember the full title of that movie, but it's kind of like in that same regard. There is a video. I'll link you to the article that has the video embedded in it about the game. The visuals of the game look really good. They're showing off a lot of the cover mechanics in the video, as well as some of the banter back and forth, which I still can't understand why someone would yell, "I'm out of ammo," in the middle of a firefight when there's people shooting at you, but whatever. Oh, just roll with it, I guess. Or reloading. I'm sorry. They yell reloading. Like, why would you tell the other side that's shooting at you that you're in the process of reloading your gun and that they could probably get a better position on you? I don't know. But it looks like a rather good game. The only unfortunate thing is that it's only for PlayStation 4 exclusive. So yeah, it's not going to be on my list of things that I can do. It looks like it's just going to be an exclusive title. So if you are a PlayStation 4 owner, you're probably looking forward to this. It'll be a nice. It's the only. I can't think of any other PS4 exclusives actually off the top of my head, or at least that aren't timed exclusives anyway. That aren't coming out to other platforms just a little bit later. So yeah, a reason to buy a PS4? I don't know. I'm seeing more reason to buy Xbox One than I am PS4 at this point. But these things go back and forth constantly. If you had asked me a year ago, I would have said no, it's probably all, or 6 months ago, I'd say no, it's probably all PS4 stuff. PS4 is probably the better thing. Now I look at it and I'm like, not really much on PS4 that's exclusive to it that I couldn't get elsewhere. So there you go with that. So a few other updates here, a few other news items. Oh, by the way, while the PlayStation Experience is going on, until December 7th at midnight, so the day that you're watching this, until midnight, EA is giving away PlayStation console owners, is giving away free games to any PlayStation console owners. Let me read that correctly. So you can choose either Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare on the PS4, Mirror's Edge on the PS3, or Need for Speed Most Wanted on the Vita as free games. They're being given away in celebration of the PlayStation Experience going on this weekend. So another thing to keep on your radar there. I'd suggest if you own a PlayStation of some sort, you might want to go over and do that. Especially if you own a PS3, you're definitely going to want to, and you don't own Mirror's Edge, now's the time to get it because it is a really good game. In addition to that, the Banner Saga 2 was announced at the Game Awards. I'll link you to a VG247 article that has the video embedded in it. It's only about 44 seconds. That's all they could release, or all that they showed at the Game Awards. So Banner Saga is a tactical RPG game. I've played a little bit of the original Banner Saga. Well, the Banner Saga, I guess, at this point. And I intend on actually recording that at some point, along with many other things. But it was rather good. It takes elements of Norse mythology and sort of blends them in with, Vikings and whatnot. So you got like Vikings and mythological creatures going around and marching across the land. So it's got a nice artistic style to it as well. It's very it's not cartoonish. It's more like, what would you call it? It's kind of like watercolor, but not as bright, I guess. I'm not sure how you would call it. It's suffice it to say, it's got a nice art style to it that is unmistakable as far as games go. All right, that covers a bunch of those things. Along the same lines of picking up some games, GOG, not to be outdone by Steam, has fired up their winter sale, their late autumn / winter sale. It's got a few days left on it. They were giving away, I'll link you to the Polygon article. It talks a little bit more about this, but they're giving away Age of Mythology. Is that Age of Wonders? Age of Mythology? I can't remember which one it is. I think it's Age of Wonders. All I did was click on the button. It said free. I don't even know what I got. But I went on the site. They're supposedly giving away about 200,000 copies of it. But I assume that they're spreading it out across the sale, because I went on the site yesterday and it wasn't there. And I went on the site early this morning, and there was a button there to download your free copy or get your free copy. And there was a little over 5,000 left at that point in time. So I'm assuming they're sort of spreading it out across the sale. So you might want to get in early in the morning, and then you'll have a better chance of actually getting the free Age of whatever it was. Age of whatever it was. That is what they're selling right now. You get that for free. Also, there's been some really good flash deals on there. There was a couple games that I got at 80% off. Like dirt cheap, $2, $4, $6. It's some pretty good deals, some pretty good flash deals on there that last for a couple hours at a time. So you might want to keep checking back and see what you can get out of it. If you couldn't get too much out of the Steam sale, you might be able to get something out of the GOG sale that you couldn't get before. In addition, after all that, the Eidos Montreal, right? Is that right? Yeah, Eidos Montreal, the new caretakers, or the current caretakers, I should say, for the Deus Ex franchise, announced, and I'll link you to their blog on this. They announced a while ago Deus Ex Universe, and just the name of it seemed to invoke a sense that it was going to be some sort of MMO, which I'm not a big MMO guy, but they've gone on their blog and clarified that no, it's not an MMO. It's just a overarching title that they're giving to several games, to several projects that are going on, that are expanding on the Deus Ex franchise. So several games will fall under the Deus Ex universe that they're creating, and they're doing it in a new engine that they're calling Dawn. They showed a little screenshot of it on there, and it looks pretty good. It's apparently a heavily redone engine that I forget the name of now. This is what I get for not writing anything down before I start recording. But yeah, this is it's a repurposed engine, a rewritten almost engine that they have there, and it's the visuals that came out of it look pretty good. So I'll link you to their blog that explains that. Mostly because I'm a big Deus Ex guy, and I saw that news and I was like, ooh, there's more Deus Ex games coming down, and there's a new engine, and and I wanted to know what the hell Deus Ex Universe was, because it sounded like an MMO to me, but it's apparently not. It's just a code name for various games that are in the works or in the planning phases. Oh, so many things on this list. So many things. So I have some things on here from last week that I'd like to get through before I do any more with the stuff I have on here for next week, or this week, I should say. So let's just grab this one here. Apparently, according to an article on Polygon, Activision has been... a warning was sent out to several YouTube makers under an MGM or MCM, a multi-channel network, MGM. A certain multi-channel network sent out a warning to a lot of its Let's Players that sit underneath of it, or YouTubers that sit underneath of it, about Activision getting a little bit antsy about people putting videos up of cheats or exploits in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. More specifically, targeting anything that gives players an unfair advantage or tricks to other players in the multiplayer. Not necessarily things that are in single player, but the multiplayer stuff. Apparently, Activision is putting in takedown notices for several things videos that it has seen, kind of on the warpath a little bit about the multiplayer bugs and exploiting of multiplayer bugs in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Chilling effects, right? I mean, that comes down to a very chilling effect. It's a big AAA company saying you shall not show bugs. I don't care whether it's multiplayer bugs or single player bugs. If during the course of playing you now, from what I understand, if during the course of playing you come across a bug, you're not in a big trouble. It's only if you devote the entire video to showing bugs and exploits that they get antsy. And I still balk at that even, because that is not the way to conduct yourself around YouTubers and whatnot. I mean, it's YouTube, for crying out loud. If you don't want people pointing out your bugs, then fix them. You know what I mean? Every piece of software has bugs. Every piece of non-trivial software has bugs. Get used to it. It's just, if somebody shows off bugs, then you now have you have a playtester now. You can go in and you can try to replicate that bug and fix it. I mean, it's as simple as that. Taking down videos that show that bug being exploited, not cool. Not cool at all in my brain. But a little thing I wanted to pull through here, just because I saw it on here and I didn't get around to it last week. What else have we got? We've got some updates here. Adventurer Manager. I did a video of this many moons ago of the early alpha version, when it was still not even a standalone. It was still a browser thing. That is actually just been released today, today as in Saturday, has just been released. I'll leave you a link to Indie Game Magazine, which talks about it a little bit more, but it's basically a management sim, sort of, where you are, now when I played it, you were the king of a city, and you hired adventurers to come in and you manage them. You sent them off on adventures. You bought loot for them, or bought equipment for them and equipped them and send them out. Then you could take control of the party when it's out adventuring and have it, actually do the battles for them and various other things. You manage, having them come back, and, you want to try to keep your party coming back for more so that they level up and all that stuff. The various parties that you send out. And in so doing, you free to land from an evil overlord. And I looked at the video of it recently, and that they have on their Steam page, and apparently a lot has changed since I last looked at it. A lot. So I'm going to have to jump back into that again and maybe do another video or another series or something on that, just because that is a fantastic concept, and I liked what I saw when I did my first video, and I just want to make sure I revisit it and give it a full treatment, if you will. So, how much time do I have left? I have about 9 minutes left or so. There was a new Battlefield Hardline video that has been released, showing a little bit of the single-player story. We saw video back at, I believe it was E3, of the single-player gameplay, about 12 minutes of single-player gameplay. Now we're getting to see some of the backstory, little tiny video of some of the backstory that is in the single-player experience of Battlefield Hardline. I'm still actually psyched about the game. In fact, it is the first Battlefield game that I'm actually psyched about. I think though that I will probably buy it on the Xbox, not on my PC, because I have a feeling that my PC is starting to get a little bit long in the tooth, and I have a feeling that the graphical fidelity of it's not going to be as good as it will be if I play it on a console. So that's probably what I'm going to do. That also, along with the video, is the announcement that the release date now is going to be March 7th? Question mark? Or was it March 17th? It's either March 7th or March 17th. You'll have to read the article to find it, for North America. And then a few days later for other regions of the world. So that will be, I can't wait. I want to see what it's like. I saw the videos, and it looks like it's giving us a little bit more to gnaw on, those of us who want more than just a straight up shooter. A little bit more mechanics to gnaw on. So, take a look at it. I'll probably take a look at it and see what it has in store for all the things. And so yeah, I actually do have more stuff here. I'm just trying to think of which one to take next, because I literally have an entire page. I have many rows in this spreadsheet that I use. So another update here: The Last Federation apparently at some point was completely released, which I did not know. That's how out of the loop I am. But also not only completely released, but there's an expansion pack out for it called Betrayed Hope, which gives you different ways, different ending scenarios, or different ways to play the game, different scenarios in the game that you didn't have in the normal vanilla game. So you can, it introduces a whole new race called the Obscura, which are just a big bad that just come rolling through the neighborhood and kicking over every trash can that they can find. And it's up to you to either, unite all the races to defend against them, or you can decide, my Hydra friends, they were right all along, and I should really just subjugate everybody. So you can go and subjugate an entire planet, and then make all the races hate you, and then you have to fight them off, and you can win that way then. And then I think there was a third mode that you could do that was kind of along the same lines of both those, kind of the middle ground between those two. So it sounds interesting. It sounds I have not, other than the one video I did, I have not been back in The Last Federation since it's been released. I forgot it was even released, to be honest with you. So that's another one on my long list of things to keep eye on, to actually circle back around on and actually do something with. And we've got also on those lines a game that is on my high list of things that I need to record. It's probably going to be something I record right after I record the Tales from the Borderlands. It's called Rollers of the Realm. And this one popped up on my radar because it's a pinball game, but it's got RPG elements as well. It's literally an RPG pinball game, which I have not played pinball in ages, either physically at an arcade or virtually on a computer, for ages and ages. The last two pinball games I played was Epic Pinball back in the day, in DOS, good old days of DOS, and the Windows pinball thing that comes with Windows, that or came with Windows XP or whatever it was. Those were the last two I've ever played. So it's been a long time since I've played a pinball game, and then to see that this has, it takes pinball and then layers on top of it like an RPG. On top of it with some sort of storyline and various other RPG components or elements or mechanics, whatever word you want to use. I just said to myself, I gotta play this. I have to play this. And it's fully released. It's not like an alpha or anything like that. It's a fully released game. It's out on Steam right now. It wasn't that expensive. I don't remember how much I paid. I remember it wasn't, it wasn't bank breaking at any by any stretch of the imagination. So I'll link to a Rock Paper Shotgun article, I believe, that talks about the game a little bit more and gives you a video and various other things to chew on. I want to take a look at that. In addition, again on Rock Paper Shotgun, I'll link you to an article to a game called The Spatials. Here's another game that I've never heard of before until just today, just a few hours ago. It's basically like a theme park or like a roller coaster tycoon-ish thing, but in space. And it's not roller coaster and it's not a theme park. It's a space station. You build a space station. You build all kinds of attractions to bring people to your space station. You can send away teams to planets and gather various things, and it's all procedurally generated. The planets they look like anyway. You can grab loot from them. You can do various other things. You build out your space station. You're trying to just manage that. It actually looks really cool. It is not very well known as far as I know, because they only had an iPod. It was only out for the iPad initially, but now they're coming out with a PC release. In fact, they have an alpha version of it for the PC that you can pick up on either Desora or on Humble Store. So I just plunked down, I think it was $9 US. I plunked that down on it, and I'm going to take a look at it and see what it's all about, because it interested me. It caught my fancy. And of course, as always, the link in the description to it, so you can take a look at that and see what you think. The video, it does actually have some pretty long videos of just gameplay, although the gameplay has been sped up 5 times in those videos, and even then it's kind of long. It feels like it's got this. It seems like it might have the same problem that a lot of like tablet games have, which is they're ridiculously long in tooth. Like, it takes a long time to do things. Just do the very, very basic things on there. Minutes upon minutes upon minutes. It's not very fast in any respect of that word. So that might be the only thing that kind of turns me off to it. But I have to see if that's actually the case or not. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten to that point yet to see that. But I think, we've done a lot of things. I think that we've gone over a hell of a lot of topics. It's been a very long and rambling session, as it tends to be, as it should be. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. And I will see you next Sunday.